then wear the gold hat. If that will move her, if you can bounce high, bounce for her too, till she cry lover, gold-hatted. High bouncing lover, I must have you, I must have you, I must have you, then wear the gold hat. If that will move her, if you can bounce high, bounce for her too, till she cry lover, gold-hatted. High bouncing lover, I must have you, I must have you, I must have you.
In my younger and more vulnerable years, my father gave me some advice that I've been turning over my mind ever since. Whenever you feel like criticizing anybody, just remember that all the people in this world haven't had the advantages that you've had. He meant a great deal more than that. In consequence, I'm inclined to reserve all judgments, a habit that has opened up many curious natures to me, but also made me victim of not a few veteran bores. Reserving judgments is a matter of infinite hope, and I'm a little afraid of missing something if I forget that. As my father snobbishly suggested, and I snobbishly repeat, a sense of the fundamental decencies is parceled out at birth. When I came back from the East last autumn, I felt that I wanted the world to be in uniform and at a moral attention forever. I wanted no more riotous excursions with privileged glimpses into the human heart. Only Gatsby, whose story I tell was exempt from my reaction. Gatsby, with a romantic readiness such as I have never found in any other person, and which it is not likely I shall ever find again. No, Gatsby turned out all right at the end. It is what preyed on Gatsby, a foul dust that floated in the wake of his dreams. My family have been prominent, well-to-do people living in a middle western city for 3 generations. The Carraways are something of a clan. I graduated from New Haven in 1915, a quarter of a century after my father, and a little later I participated in that delayed Teutonic migration known as the Great War. Instead of being the warm center of the world, the Middle West now felt like the ragged edge of the universe. So I decided to go east again for the bond business. Father agreed to finance me for a year, and the practical thing was to find a room in the city. But it was a warm season. I had just left a country of wide lawns and friendly trees, so I found a weather-beaten cardboard bungalow at $80 a month. I was rather literary at Yale, and I was going to bring back all such things into my life and become again that most limited of specialists, the well-rounded man. It was a matter of chance that I should have rented a house in one of the strangest communities of North America. It was on that slender, riotous island which extends itself due east of New York, and where there are, among other natural curiosities, 2 unusual formations of land. 20 miles from the city, where a pair of enormous eggs, identical in contour and separated only by a courtesy bay, jut out into the greatest body of domesticated saltwater in the Western Hemisphere, the great wet barnyard of Long Island Sound. I lived at West Egg, the, well, less fashionable of the 2. My house was only 50 yards from the Sound, and it was squeezed in between 2 huge places that rented for $12,000 or $15,000 a season. The colossal affair on my left, some Blenheim Palace in Oxfordshire, with a tower on one side, spanking new under a thin beard of raw ivy, a swimming pool, and acres upon acres of lawn and gardens. It was Gatsby's mansion. My own house was an eyesore, but it overlooked the water and Gatsby's gardens within a consoling proximity of millionaires, all for just $80 a month. Across the bay in fashionable East Egg, white palaces glittered along the water. The history of that summer begins on the evening I drove over there to have dinner with the Buchanans. Daisy was my second cousin once removed, and I know Tom in college. And then after the war, I spent 2 days with them in Chicago. And so it happened that on a warm, windy evening, I drove out to East Egg to have dinner with 2 old friends whom I scarcely knew at all. Their house was even more elaborate than I expected. It was a cheerful Georgian overlooking the bay. Daisy's husband had been one of the most powerful ends to ever play football at Yale. He was one of those men who reached such an acute limited excellence at age 21 that everything afterwards savors of anticlimax. He packed massive muscles, shifting his shoulder under his tunic, capable of overwhelming leverage. His family were enormously wealthy. Even in college, his freedom with money was a matter of reproach. Tom and Daisy had spent a year in France for no particular reason, and then drifted here or there wherever people played polo and were rich together. This was a permanent move, Daisy assured me over the telephone, but I didn't believe it. I had no insight into Daisy's heart, but I felt as if Tom would forever drift on, seeking the dramatic turbulence of some irrecoverable football game. Why they came east, I don't know. I waited, remembering that gruff, husky tenor with its paternal contempt even for those of us that he liked. And there were men in New Haven who had hated his guts.
Well, who do we have here?
You've forgotten so quickly. Senior year, Skull and Bones.
I've been traveling, France, lots of polo after the war. But we've got a nice place here. It belonged to Domain, the oil man. We'll go inside.
Oh, I'm paralyzed with happiness. Oh, Tom, look what the summer wind blew in. Nick, my darling Nick, are you our forgotten love? Delicious.
Only Cupid, flown in from Chicago with parsing roses from all your admirers.
Do they miss me?
Oh, the whole town is desolate. All the cars have the left rear wheel painted black as a mourning wreath, and there's a persistent wail all night along the shore.
How gorgeous. Let's go back, Tom. Tomorrow. You ought to see the baby.
I'd like to.
Oh, haven't you ever seen her?
Never.
Well, you ought to see her. She's just...
What are you doing, Nick?
I'm a bondman.
With whom?
Prudential.
I've never heard of them.
You will. You will if you stay in the East.
I'll be staying in the East, don't you worry. I'd be a goddamn fool to live anywhere else.
Absolutely. I'm stiff. I've been lying on the sofa for as long as I can remember.
Well, don't look at me. I've been trying to get you to New York all afternoon.
No thanks, I'm absolutely in training.
You are. How you ever get anything done is absolutely beyond me.
You live in West Bay. I know somebody there.
I don't know a single...
You must know Gatsby.
Gatsby? What Gatsby?
I do. He's my...
Light a candle. You know, in 2 weeks, it'll be the longest day in the year. Do you ever look for the longest day in the year and then miss it? I always look for the longest day in the year and then I miss it.
We ought to plan something.
All right. What do we plan? What do people plan? Look, I heard it. You did it, Tom. I know you didn't mean to do it, but you did do it. I guess that's what I get for marrying a brute of a man. A great, big, hulking, physical specimen.
I hate that word. Hulking. Even in kidding.
Hulking? Oh, what should we do? What do people do, anyway?
Daisy, you make me feel so uncivilized. Can't you talk about crops or something?
Civilization's going to pieces. I've gotten to be a terrible pessimist about things. Have you read The Rise of the Colored Empires by this man Stothard?
Well, no.
Well, it's a fine book, and everybody ought to read it. You see, the idea is that it's up to us to look out, or the white race will be utterly submerged. It's all scientific stuff. It's been proved.
Tom's getting very profound. He reads deep books with long words in them. What was that word that you...
Well, these books are all scientific, and this fellow's figured out the whole thing. It's up to us. the dominant race to look out, or these other races will have control of things.
We've got to beat them down.
You ought to live in California.
The idea is, we are Nordics. I am, and you are. And we've produced all of the things that go to make culture, science, and art, and all of that. Do you see?
I'll tell you a family secret. It's about the butler's nose. Do you want to hear about the butler's nose?
That's why I came over tonight.
Well, he wasn't always a butler. He used to be the silver polisher for some people in New York who had a silver service for over 200 people. He had to polish day and night, and it began to affect his nose.
Things went from bad to worse.
Yes, things went from bad to worse until finally he had to give up his position. We heard it from 3 people, so it must be true. Nick, I love to see you at my table. You remind me of a rose, an absolute rose. Doesn't he?
An absolute rose.
Hardly. Not even faintly like a rose. But the warmth of your heart when you say it thrills me. Well,
I want to hear.
This fellow Gatsby you spoke
Don't
of?
talk. I want to hear what happened.
Is something happening?
You mean you don't know? I thought everybody knew.
I don't.
Why, Tom's got some woman in New York.
He's got some woman?
She might have had the decency not to telephone him at dinner time, don't you think?
Couldn't be helped. Couldn't be helped. You know, I looked outdoors for a minute. It's very romantic outdoors. I think there's a bird on the lawn. It must be a nightingale come over on the Cunard or the White Star Line, and he's singing away. So young and green and easy out there. Oh, Tom, isn't it romantic?
Very romantic. If it's light enough after dinner, I want to take you back to the stables.
Nick, we don't know each other very well, even if we are cousins. You didn't come to my wedding.
I wasn't back from the war yet.
Well, that's true. Well, I've had a very bad time of it, Nick, and I've become pretty cynical about everything.
Evidently, you've had to be. But your daughter, I suppose she talks and she eats and everything?
Well, yes. Nick, let me tell you what I said the day she was born. I think it will help you understand how I've come to feel about things. She was less than an hour old, and Tom was God knows where and with. And I woke up out of the ether with an utterly abandoned feeling, and I asked the nurse right away if it was a boy or a girl. And she told me it was a girl. So I turned my head and I wept.
The best thing for Daisy is to rush out of that house, child in arms. But evidently, there were no such intentions in her mind. As for Tom, the fact that he had some woman in New York, it was really less surprising than the fact that he was depressed by a book. Something was making him nibble at the edge of stale ideas, as if his sturdy physical egotism no longer nourished his peremptory heart. If it wasn't for the mist, he could have seen her home across the bay, as that green light burned all night along her dock. A burning, romantic vision that made the trenches of France disappear, and created at a glance the age of opulence, blinded by its own fragile life.
All right, I said. I'm glad it's a girl. And I hope she'll be a fool. Because that's the best thing a girl can be. A beautiful little fool. You see, I think everything's terrible anyhow. And everybody thinks so. The most advanced people. And I know. I've been everywhere. Seen everything. Done everything. God, I'm sophisticated.
I figured you wouldn't be busy on a Sunday, so I drove over and insist that we go to town.
You assume a great deal.
I want you to meet my girl.
Oh,
I called Myrtle and told her to meet us at the flat. I keep one at the Winchester house, and to bring along her sister, for you, and some other people so that it's proper. And then I had her put her husband Wilson on the phone. He's so dumb. Doesn't know what's going on. I keep telling him I have this fancy car he can sell out of his garage. Seems to want it badly. Maybe he doesn't make ends meet pumping gas. Lives in a dreadful place. A car garage in an ash heap beneath a billboard advertisement for an eye doctor. E.J. Eckelberg. Have you ever seen it?
So we drove through the valley bashes with the big eyes of E.J. Uckelberg looking down on us like an Old Testament prophet. We went into Manhattan where Tom stopped at a drugstore, bought some cheap perfume, a pink dog collar, and some whiskey. We entered a pre-war elegant lobby that had gone shabby, took a tight elevator ride up to the 4th floor, and walked in on a menagerie. Myrtle and her sister were already there. Myrtle was holding a puppy that Tom had bought her the previous week. She fussed over the new garish pink rhinestone dog collar. I've been drunk just twice in my life, and the second time was that afternoon, so everything that happened has a dim, hazy cast over it. We stopped calling each other by our surnames after the first drink.
Oh, Tom! Fred always told me so much about you. Sit right down there.
Myrtle, get everybody something to drink before we all fall asleep.
I've told everyone about the ice. These people, you have to keep after them all the time.
Tom, I've done some great things out on Long Island. 2 of them are frames downstairs.
2 what?
Photographs! Studies. First one's called Montauk Point, the Gulls. The second, the sea.
Well, that's nice.
I'd like to get more work done on Long Island if I could,
Justin photographed me 127 times since we've been married, so I guess the photos aren't too indiscreet.
Well, Myrtle can give you a letter of introduction, won't you, Myrtle?
You what?
You'll give Mr. McKee here a letter of introduction to your husband. He can do a study on him and call it George Wilson at the gasoline pump.
Neither one of them can stand the person they're married to. They can't stand them. What I say is, why go on living with them if they can't stand them? If I were them, I'd get a divorce and get married to each other right away.
Oh.
You see, it's really his wife that's keeping them apart. She's a Catholic, and they don't believe in divorce.
I never knew Daisy was a Catholic.
When they do get married, they're going out west to live for a while until the whole thing blows over.
It'd be more discreet to go to Europe.
Oh, do you like Europe? I just got back from Monte Carlo.
Really?
Last year, I went over with another girl.
Did you stay long?
No, we just went to Monte Carlo and back. We had over $1,200 when we started and got kicked out of it all in 2 days in private rooms. We had a hell of a time getting back, I can tell you. God, how I hated that town. I almost made a mistake, too. I almost married this little kike who'd been after me for years, and I knew he was below me. And if I hadn't met Chester, he'd have got me for sure.
Yes, but listen, at least you didn't marry him. Well, I married him. That's the difference between your case and mine.
Oh, why did you, Myrtle?
I married him because I thought he was a gentleman. I thought he knew something about breeding, but he wasn't fit to lick my shoe.
Oh, you were crazy about him for a while.
The only crazy I was when I married him. I knew right away I made a mistake. He borrowed somebody's best suit to get married in and never even told me about it. And the man came after it one day when he was out. Oh, is that your suit? I said. This is the first I ever heard about it. I laid down and cried to beat the band all afternoon.
She really ought to get away from him. They've been living over that garage for 11 years, and Tom is the first sweetie she ever had. Do you live down on Long Island, too?
I live at Westgate.
Really? Well, I was down there about a month ago. I had a man named Gatsby. Do you know him?
I live next door to him.
Well, they say he's a cousin or a nephew to Kaiser Wilhelm. As well as me.
Really?
I'm scared of him. I wouldn't want him to get anything on me.
Did you ever meet him?
No, but everyone told me all about him.
Oh.
Can I get you another drink?
I suddenly realized that today was my birthday. My God. I wanted to get out and walk westward towards the park through the soft twilight, but each time I tried, I got caught up in some wild, strident argument which pulled me back, as if with ropes, into my chair. I became, within and without, simultaneously enchanted and repelled by the inexhaustible varieties of life.
I met Tom on the train going up to New York to see my sister and spend the night. It was on those two little seats facing each other that are always the last ones left. He had on a dress suit and fat leather shoes, and I couldn't take my eyes off him. But every time he looked at me, I had to pretend to be looking at the advertisement over his head. When we came into a station, he was next to me, and his white dress shirt pressed against my arm. So I told him I'd have to call a policeman. And he knew I'd lied. I was so excited when I got into a taxi with him. I thought I wet my pants. All I kept thinking about over and over was, you can't live forever. You can't live forever.
I must have fallen asleep right there on the floor because the next thing that I heard was Myrtle shouting.
Daisy! Daisy! Daisy!
You have no right to say her name!
I'll say whatever I want to! Daisy! Daisy! Daisy!
There was blood everywhere and Catherine was screaming. Tom, what do you think that you were doing?
That's Kildegray's understudy from the Follies.
Well, obviously, I wasn't the only person invited.
They weren't. They just get in automobiles, drive out to Long Island, and end up at Gatsby's door. Sometimes they come and go without having met Gatsby at all, with a simplicity of heart which is the ticket of admission, and behave as if they would in an individual part. Hello! Sorry you didn't win. The golf tournament. We saw you in the finals. You don't know us, but we might be here about a month ago.
Your hair. You've dyed your hair since then. Do you come to these parties often?
The last one was the one I met you at. I like to come. I don't care where I go, so I always have a good time. At the last one, I tore my dress on a chair, and he asked me my name and address, and inside a week, I had a package from Macy's with a new evening gown in it. Did you keep it? Sure I did. I would have worn it tonight, but it was too big in the bust and had to be altered. Ice blue with lavender beads, $200.
There's something funny about a fella who'll do a thing like that. He doesn't want trouble with anybody.
Who doesn't?
Yes. Somebody told me he's a bootlegger. One time he killed a man who had found out he was the nephew to Von Hindenburg and second cousin to the devil. Oh, reach me a rose, honey, and pour me a last drop in that there crystal glass.
It's not so much that he was a German spy during the war.
I heard that. Man knew all about him in Germany.
You look at him sometimes when he's staring across the sun that he's dead, when he thinks nobody's watching. I bet he killed a man.
You see, they're bona fide pieces of printed matter. They fooled me. This fellow's a regular Dr. Johnson. The triumph, the realism, the thoroughness. Knew when to stop too. Didn't cut the pages. What do you want? What do you expect? Who brought you? Or did you just come? I was brought. Most people were brought. I was brought by a woman named Roosevelt. I met her back now. I met her in the gut now, isn't there? It was back. I met her somewhere last night. I've been drunk for about a week now. I thought this might sober me up a bit to stand near the library.
Has it?
A little bit, I think. I haven't decided yet. I've only been here for about an hour. Oh, did I tell you about the books yet?
You told me.
Oh, splendid. I'm going to get another drink.
Your face is familiar. Weren't you in the 2nd Division during the war?
Why, yes. I was in the 9th Machine Gun Battalion.
I was in the 7th Infantry until June 1918. I knew I'd seen you somewhere before.
I mustered out in August. Do you live around here?
I just bought a hydroplane. Going to try it out in the morning. Want to come with me, old sport? Just near the shore off the Sound.
What time?
Any time that suits you best.
Say 9? This is an unusual party for me. I haven't even seen the host. I live right over there, and this fellow Gatsby sent over his chauffeur with an invitation.
I'm Gatsby.
I beg your pardon.
I thought you knew, old sport. I'm afraid I'm not a very good host. Excuse me. If you need anything, just ask for it, old sport. I will rejoin you later.
Who is he? Do you know?
Having a gay time now, are we? He's just a man named Gatsby.
Where's he from, I mean? What does he do?
Well, now you started on the subject. He told me once he was an Oxford man. However, I don't believe it.
Why not?
I don't know. I just don't think he went there. However, he gives large parties, and I love large parties. They're so intimate. At small parties, there just isn't any privacy. See you later.
Gatsby could certainly smile. It was one of those rare smiles with a quality of eternal reassurance to it that you may come across 4 or 5 times in life. It faced, or seemed to face, the whole external world for an instant, and then it focused in on you with an irresistible prejudice in your favor. It understood you just as far as you wanted to be understood. It believed in you as you would like to believe in yourself. And it assured you that it had precisely the impression of you that, at your best, you hoped to convey. Precisely at that point, it vanished. And I was staring at some young, elegant roughneck, a year or two over 30, whose elaborate formality of speech just missed being absurd. The impression was that he was picking his words with care. After that night, I'd hung around Jordan for a while until we'd had a row. I was flattered to go places with her because she was a golf champion, and everyone knew her name. Then it became something more. I don't think I was actually in love, but I felt a sort of tender curiosity. She turned a bored, haughty face to conceal something. Most affectations conceal something, even when they don't in the beginning. And then I found what it was. We were at a house party together up in Warwick, and she had left a borrowed car out in the rain with the top down and then lied about it. And suddenly I remembered the story about her that had eluded me that night at Daisy's. At her first big golf tournament, there was a scene that nearly reached the newspapers. A suggestion that she may have moved the ball from a bad lie in the semifinal round. The thing reached the proportions of a scandal, and then it just died away. The caddy had retracted his statement, and the only other witness admitted that he may have been mistaken. She was incurably dishonest. She wasn't able to endure being at a disadvantage, and she began to deal in subterfuge when she was very young in order to keep that cool, insolent smile turned to the world, and yet satisfy the demands of her hard, jaunty body. Driving home in the now wet convertible, she nearly hit a man. "You're a rotten driver," I told her. "You ought to be more careful, or you oughtn't to be driving at all."
I am careful.
No, you're not.
Well, other people are. They'll keep out of my way. It takes 2 to make an accident.
Well, suppose you met somebody just as careless as yourself.
I hope I never do. I hate careless people.
why I like you.
She had deliberately shifted our relationship. For a moment, I thought I loved her. But I am slow thinking and full of interior rules that act as brakes on my desires. I knew I was in a tangle. Everyone suspects themselves of at least one of the cardinal virtues, and this is mine. I am one of the few honest people I've ever known. Some days after riding in Gatsby's hydroplane, his gorgeous car lurched up the rocky drive to my door and gave out a burst of melody from its horn as he jumps to the dashboard, balancing his resourceful movements that is so particularly American. A quality continually breaking through his exact manners in the shape of restlessness. He was never quite still. There was always a tapping foot somewhere or the impatient opening and closing of a hand.
How are you, old sport? Good morning. You're having lunch with me today, so I thought we'd ride up to town together. It's pretty, isn't it, old sport? Haven't you ever seen it before?
Oh yes, everybody has seen it. I detest this stretch of road by the dump, always burning like damnation with the rundown gas station and those sinister eyes looking out at us.
But look here, old sport. What's your opinion of me anyhow? Well, I'm going to tell you something about my life. I don't want you to get the wrong idea of me from all these stories you hear. I'll tell you God's truth. I am the son of some wealthy people in the Middle West, all dead now. I was brought up in America, but educated at Oxford because all my ancestors have been educated there for many years. It is a family tradition.
Well, what part of the Middle West?
San Francisco.
I see.
My family all died, and I came into a good deal of money.
I thought he was pulling my leg, but a glance at his intensity convinced me otherwise.
After that, I lived like a young Raja in all the capitals of Europe, Paris, Venice, Rome, collecting jewels, hunting big game, painting a little, things for myself only, and trying to forget something very sad that happened to me long ago.
With an effort, I managed to restrain my incredulous laughter. The very phrases were worn so threadbare that they evoked no image except that of a turbaned character leaking sawdust at his pores while pursuing his tiger.
Then came the war, old sport. It was a tragedy, and I tried very hard to die, but I seemed to bear an enchanted life. I accepted a commission as first lieutenant when it began in the Argonne Forest. I took 2 machine gun detachments so far forward that there was a half-mile gap on either side of us where the infantry couldn't advance. We stayed there 2 days and 2 nights, 130 men and 16 Lewis guns. When the infantry came up at last, they found the insignia of 3 German divisions among the piles of the dead. I was promoted to be a major, and every Allied government gave me a decoration. Even Montenegro, little Montenegro, down on the Adriatic Sea.
Fascinating. I mean it.
That's from Montenegro. Go ahead, read it.
Order di Danilo, Montenegro, Nicholas Rex, or Major J. Gatsby for Valor Extraordinary.
Here's something else I always carry with me. It's a souvenir of my Oxford days. It was taken in Trinity Quad. The man on the left is now the Earl of Doncaster.
You there with the cricket bat?
Mm-hmm.
So it's all true then.
Yes. I thought you ought to know. I didn't want you to think I was just some nobody drifting here and there among strangers, trying to forget the sad thing that happened to me.
The sad thing was Daisy and her artificial world. Plush with orchids and pleasant, cheerful snobbery and orchestras that set the rhythm of the year, summing up the sadness and suggestiveness of life with pleasant new tunes as if nothing were amiss. Meanwhile, half the youth of England bled out in trenches along the Somme. Through her twilight universe, Daisy began to again shift with the seasons. Suddenly, she was keeping half a dozen dates a day with half a dozen different men. and drowsing asleep at dawn with the beads and chiffon of an evening dress tangled among dying orchids at the foot beside her bed. All the time, something inside her was crying for a decision. She wanted her life shaped. Now, immediately. And the decision must be made by some force of love or of money or of the unquestionable practicality that was close at hand. That force was Tom Buchanan. Doubtless, she had a certain struggle balanced by a certain relief. Her letter had reached Gatsby while he was still at Oxford.
I'm going to make a big request of you today, so I thought you ought to know all about me.
At lunch?
Oh, no, tomorrow afternoon. Now, I happen to find out that you're having Miss Baker over for tea.
Do you mean to say that you're now in love with Miss Baker?
No, old sport, no. But Miss Baker has kindly consented to speak with you about this matter.
I hadn't the faintest idea what this matter was, but I was annoyed. We didn't invite Jordan over in order to discuss Mr. J. Gatsby.
Ah, here we are. You ran through that light like a rabbit back there. All right, old sport, all right. Right you are. Excuse me, Mr. Gatsby, recognize you next time.
What was that? Was that the picture at Trinity College?
I was able to do the commissioner a favor once. He sends me a Christmas card every year. Mr. Carraway, this is my friend, Mr. Wolfsheim.
So I took one look at him, and what do you think he said?
What?
I handed the money to Cat's Paw, and I said, all right, Cat's Paw, don't pay him a penny until he shuts his mouth. He shut it right then and there. This is a nice restaurant over here. I like the one across the street better. It's too hot over there. Hot and small, yes. Full of memories.
What place is that?
Aye. The old Metropole. The old Metropole. Filled with faces dead and gone. Filled with friends gone now forever. I can't forget so long as I live the night they shot Rosie. There was 6 of us at the table. And Rosie had eaten drunk a lot all evening. When it was almost morning, the waiter came up with a funny look on his face. He said someone wants to speak with him outside. All right, says Rosie, and he begins to get up. And I pulled him down to his chair. The bastards come in here if they want you, Rosie. But don't you, so help me, move outside this room.
Did he go?
Sure he went. He stood in the doorway and said, don't let the waiter take my coffee. He stepped out to the sidewalk, and they shot him 3 times in his full belly, drove away.
I remember. 4 of them were electrocuted.
5 with Becker. I understand you're looking for business connection.
Oh, no. This is not the man.
No?
He's just a friend. I told you we'd talk about that another day.
I beg my pardon. I had the wrong man. Excuse me.
Look here, old sport. I'm afraid I made you a little angry in the car.
I don't like mysteries, and I don't understand why you won't just come out frankly and tell me what you want. Why does it all have to come through Miss Baker?
Oh, no. It's nothing underhanded. Miss Baker is a sportswoman, you know. She'd never do anything that wasn't all right. Excuse me.
He asked the telephone. Fine fellow, isn't he? Handsome to look at, and a perfect gentleman.
Yes.
He's an Oxford man.
Oh,
Oxford's a college in England. You know Oxford College?
I have heard of it.
It's one of the finest institutions in the world.
You know Mr. Gatsby for a long time.
Oh, several years. I made the pleasure of his acquaintance just after the war. But I knew I had discovered a man of fine breeding after talking with him an hour. I said to myself, now there's the kind of man you'd like to take home and introduce to your mother and sister. I see you're admiring my cuff buttons. They're the finest specimens of human moldings.
Well, that's a very interesting idea.
Yeah. Yeah, Gatsby's very careful about women. He would never so much as look at another friend's wife. Well, I've enjoyed my lunch, and now I'll take my leave from you fine young men before I outstay my welcome.
Oh, don't hurry, Meyer.
Well, you're very polite, but. I belong to a different generation. You sit here, you talk about your sports and your young ladies. As for me, I am 50 years old, and I won't impose myself on you any longer. And I'm expected at the old metropole.
He becomes very sentimental sometimes. This is one of his more sentimental days. He's a real character around New York, a denizen of Broadway.
Who is he anyway? Was he an actor?
No.
Is he a dentist?
Meyer Wolfsheim? No. He's a gambler. He's the man who fixed the World Series back in 1919.
He fixed the World Series? I'm staggered. I remember that happened, but it never occurred to me that one man could toy with the faith of 50 million people with the single-mindedness of a burglar blowing a safe. How did he do that?
He saw the opportunity.
Why isn't he in jail?
They couldn't get him, old sport. He's a smart man.
Tom! Excuse me, Gatsby, I've got to say hello to someone.
Where have you been? Daisy's furious you haven't called up.
Oh, Tom, this is Mr. Gatsby. Mr. Gatsby, Tom Buchanan.
How have you been, anyhow? How'd you come up to this part of town?
I've been having lunch with Mr. Gatsby.
Gatsby. I've got to run. Call Daisy for me.
So, later on, Miss Baker came over for some afternoon tea.
It was October 1917, and I was walking along the loveliest street in Louisville in my new plaid skirt and my newer English golf shoes. I was walking on the lawns. You know, I always liked the lawns better than those pedestrian sidewalks. Daisy Fay had the biggest house in town and the largest lawn. She was 18, 2 years older than me, and by far the most popular girl in school. She dressed in all white and had a little white roadster, and all day long the telephone rang in her house, excited young officers from Camp Taylor who demanded the privilege of monopolizing her even for an hour. When I came opposite her house that morning, her little white roadster was parked outside, and she was in it with a lieutenant I had never seen before. They were so engrossed in each other, they didn't see me until I was 5 feet away. She asked if I was going to the Red Cross to make bandages and asked if I could tell them that she couldn't. The officer looked at Daisy in the way that every young girl wants to be looked at. It was so romantic. I've remembered it ever since. His name was Jay Gatsby.
One and the same?
I didn't see him again for over 4 years. And then I met him on Long Island at one of my golf tournaments, and I didn't realize it was the same man. Rumors had circulated that Daisy's mother caught her packing one night to say goodbye to her soldier who was going overseas. Her mother stopped her, and she wasn't on speaking terms with her family for weeks. After that, she didn't play around with young lieutenants anymore, but by the following autumn, she was gay as ever. It was rumored she was engaged to a man from New Orleans, but she married Tom Buchanan from Chicago, who came to Louisville in 4 private railroad cars, hired a whole floor of the Mulbach Hotel, and gave her a string of pearls valued at $350,000.
And she just never saw Gatsby again?
I was a bridesmaid, and I came into her room just before the bridal dinner. I found her lying on her bed, drunk as a monkey, with a bottle of Sauterne in one hand and a letter in the other. Congratulate me! I've never been drunk before, but oh, how I do enjoy it! She reached into the wastebasket next to her bed and pulled out that string of pearls and told me to take them downstairs and give them back to whoever they belonged to and tell them, Daisy's changed her mind, she changed her mind, and started to cry until we got her into a cold bath, still clutching that letter. But she didn't let go of it until it began to fall into pieces like snowflakes. The next day at 5 o'clock, she married Tom Buchanan, standing straight as a maypole with those lovely pearls around her neck.
She didn't love Tom?
I didn't see Daisy again until I ran into her in Santa Barbara. I never saw a girl so crazy about her husband. It's like she needed him every second. When he would leave the room, an abstract expression would fall over her face. The week I left, Tom ran into a wagon on the Ventura Road and wrecked his new car. The girl who was with him made the papers because she broke her arm. The girl was a chambermaid at the Santa Barbara Hotel. That spring, Daisy had a little girl in Chicago, but they didn't stay. They came east.
Why?
They'd run with a fast crowd, all of them wild and rich, but she came out with an absolutely perfect reputation. Perhaps it's because she didn't drink. It's an advantage not to drink among hard-drinking people. You can hold your tongue. And then 6 weeks ago, she hears the name Gatsby, and it was then that I connected this Gatsby with the lieutenant in the white car.
Gatsby must have bought that house so Daisy would be just across the bay.
He wants to know if you'll invite Daisy over to your house some afternoon and then let him come over. She's not to know about it. Gatsby doesn't want her to know. You're just supposed to invite her to tea.
How strange. He had waited 5 years and bought a mansion so she could just come over for tea some afternoon. When Jordan said that Gatsby was afraid he'd waiting too long, I thought, why didn't you arrange a meeting? Then I knew. Gatsby needed to show Daisy his house.
Hello?
Daisy?
Oh, Nick, it's you. I have dreaded each and every day until I could hear your voice.
That's why I called to rescue you.
Oh, you do love me.
And to invite you over for a little afternoon tea at my cottage on the mansion grounds. Tomorrow afternoon?
Well, I've never longed for anything else.
And don't drink, Tom.
Tom who?
Till tomorrow then.
Yes, you too.
There are only the pursued and the pursuing, the busy and the tired. Gatsby.
I thought I'd pop over, old sport.
Oh?
I thought we'd drive out to Coney Island in my car.
Oh, no, it's late and I have an early meeting tomorrow. I spoke with Miss Baker. I already called Daisy. Would tomorrow afternoon suit you?
Does it suit you? I don't want to put you to any trouble. How about the day after tomorrow? I have to cut the grass. There is another little thing.
Would you rather put it off?
Oh, no, it's not about that. It's just that, well, I thought that... Look here, old sport. You don't make much money, do you?
Not very much, no.
If you'll pardon my... You see, I do a little business on the side, a sort of a sideline. You understand, and I thought if you didn't make very much... Why, you're selling bonds, aren't you, old sport?
Trying to.
Well, this would interest you. It wouldn't take up much of your time, and you might pick up a nice bit of money. It is a rather confidential sort of thing.
You found me at a weak moment.
You wouldn't have to work with Wolfsheim.
No, it's not about Wolfsheim. I don't mind working my way up. It's just... I am much obliged, but I couldn't possibly take on any more work. Until tomorrow, then. His offer rather interested me and made him less remotely rich. Nevertheless, I was confused and a little bit disgusted. I'd been offered a bribe as a boy, a marble or some trinket in order to lie for a friend. But, as I said, we all have one virtue buried somewhere, and mine was avoiding mendacity. Conduct may be founded on hard rock or wet marshes, but after a certain point, I don't care what it's founded on.
Is everything all right?
Fine. You cut the grass.
What grass?
The lawn?
Oh, yes, it looks swell, doesn't it? One of the papers said the rain was going to stop. The journal, I think. What do you think? Do you have everything you need? How's my collar? I'm going home.
Oh, no. Why is that?
Nobody's coming to tea. It's too late. I can't wait any longer.
Don't be silly. It's only 2 minutes to 4.
Is this absolutely where you live, my dearest one? Are you in love with me? Well, why else did I have to come alone?
That's a Sybil's secret. I'm going to tell your chauffeur to go far away.
His name is Ferdy.
Come back in an hour, Bertie. Does the gasoline affect his nose?
I don't think so. Why?
Well, that's funny.
What's funny? Well, I certainly am awfully glad to see you again.
We've met before. I'm sorry about the time.
We haven't met for many years.
5 years. Next November.
Why don't I just go into the kitchen?
Where are you going?
Don't worry, I'll be right back. God, this is a terrible, terrible mistake. Calm down, you're just embarrassed. She's embarrassed too. She's embarrassed. Just as much as you are. Down. You are acting like a child. Knowing that you're being rude. She's sitting there by herself. Time. That's what they needed. More time.
Oh, how are you, old sport?
It stopped raining.
Has it? Well, what do you think of that? It stopped raining.
I'm glad, Jay.
I want you and Daisy to come over to my house. I'd like to show her around.
Jay, really? Well, I'll just go upstairs and I'll wash my face.
My house looks swell, doesn't it, old sport? See how the whole front of it catches the light?
Like Monet's Impressions, the cathedral in Rouen.
Yes, and it took me just 3 years to earn the money that bought it.
I thought you inherited your money.
Yes, I did, but I lost most of it in the big panic, the panic of the war.
And in what business?
That is my affair. Sorry. I was in several things. I was in the drug business, then the oil business. Several things, but I'm not in those anymore. Why? Do you mean you've been reconsidering the proposal I made to you the other day?
Oh, it's so lovely out. And is that your house, Jay? That huge place there.
Do you like it?
I love it. But I don't understand how you live there all alone.
I know he never ceased looking at her as he guided her through his gardens filled with sparkling jonquils, frothy hawthorn, plum blossoms, and the pale golden odor of Kiss Me at the Gate, right into his restoration of a dream house.
I keep it filled with interesting people night and day. People who do interesting things, celebrated people.
I think he revalued everything in there according to the measure of response it drew from her well-loved eyes. He was looking at his possessions in a dazed way, as if in her actual and astounding presence, none of it was any longer real. Gatsby was in a whole new world, and he visibly passed through multiple states. After his embarrassment and unreasoning joy, he was now filled with wonder at her presence.
Who's this?
That's Dan Cody. He's dead now. He was my best friend many years ago.
All in yachting clothes, your head thrown to the wind, and the pompadour. You never told me you had a yacht or a pompadour.
A souvenir of Oxford days. It was taken just after the war. The man on the left is now the Earl of Doncaster. And look here. There's some clippings of you.
Such beautiful shirts. Will make me sad because, well, I've never seen such beautiful shirts before.
I think that voice held him most, with its fluctuating, feverish warmth. It couldn't be overdreamed. That voice was her deathless song.
Yes. I can't talk right now. I said I can't talk right now, old sport. Well, I said a small town. What does he think a small town is? Well, he's of no use to us if he thinks Detroit is a small town.
Come here, quick. Oh, look at that. Those pink and golden billow and foamy clouds above the sea. Oh, I wish I could get one of those clouds and put us in it to float around.
Now, in reaction, he was running down like an overwound clock. Even as Daisy clung to him, it might have occurred to him that the colossal significance of that light had now vanished forever. Compared to the great distance that had separated him from Daisy, he always felt so close to her. He was almost touching her. As close as a star to the moon, that green light on her dock.
I know what we'll do. We'll have O'Reilly play us a tune. O'Reilly.
There may have been moments, even then, after 5 years, when Daisy tumbled short of his dreams. Not of her own fault, but because of the colossal vitality of his illusion. It had gone beyond her. It had gone beyond everything. He had thrown himself into it with a creative passion, adding to it all the time, decking it out with every bright feather that had flown his way. No amount of fire or freshness can challenge what a man will store up in his ghostly heart.
Well, this is very elaborate.
Ah, delighted to see you. Delighted that you dropped by. Sit right down. Have another cigarette or cigar. I'll have something to drink for you in just a minute. A little lemonade. Champagne. Nothing at all.
No, thank you. Sorry.
How was your ride?
Very nice roads up here.
Yes, I suppose the automobile.
Yeah.
I believe we've met somewhere before, Mr. Buchanan.
And that's right. I remember very well.
About 2 weeks ago.
That's right. You were with Nick here.
I know your wife.
That's so. You live around here, Nick.
Next door.
That's so.
We'll ride home and get changed and come back to your party, Mr. Gatsby. What do you say?
Certainly, I'd be delighted to have you.
That'd be very nice. We'll think about it on the ride home.
Please come for supper. Hurry. I wouldn't be surprised if some other people dropped in from New York.
You'll have me for supper. You won't be late.
My God, I believe the man wants her. Doesn't he know she doesn't want him? He doesn't know a soul in New York.
He said she wants to come.
I wonder where in the devil he met Daisy. I may be old-fashioned in my ideas, but women run around too much these days for my taste. They meet all kinds of crazy fish.
Will collectors gather round and rather haunt the cottage next door? Men the butcher and grocer sent, men who call for the rent, but within a happy chappy and his bride of only a year seem to be so cheerful. Here's an earful of the chatter you'll hear every morning, every evening. Hey, we got fun.
Tom was evidently perturbed at Daisy's running around alone because he did come back to Gatsby's party with Daisy and that voice. Daisy's dreamy voice.
These things excite me so. If you want to kiss me at any point in the evening, you just let me know and I'll arrange it for you.
Have you one for me?
I don't know a soul here.
Oh, perhaps you know this young lady and her husband.
Oh, she's lovely.
She's a world-famous origami collector. Is that right? It's a specialty trade. This is Mrs. Buchanan, and this is Mr. Buchanan, the polo player.
Oh, no, not me.
I've never met so many celebrities. Oh, I like that man. The one right there with the blue nose.
Oh.
Hey.
Oh, this is Artie. I believe he works for the Talking Pictures. Is that right? I might have that wrong, old sport. You'll have to apologize.
Well, I like him anyhow.
Excuse me. Nick.
You know, I'd a little rather not be introduced as the polo player. I'd rather view all these people in plain oblivion. I'm going to sit over there and have some supper. That fellow's getting up to some funny stuff.
Go ahead. And if you want to take down any addresses, use my little gold pencil. Night or daytime, it's all playtime, and we got fun. Hot or cold days, any old days, and we got fun. I'm going to do the Charleston with Mr. J. Gatsby over to your house for half an hour. You watch in the garden in case there's a fire or a flood or any other acts of God. There's nothing sure the rich get rich and the poor get children. In between time, and we got fun.
Who is this Gatsby anyhow? Some big bootlegger?
Where'd you hear that?
I didn't hear it. I imagined it. A lot of these newly rich people are just big bootleggers, you know.
Not Gatsby.
Well, he must have strained himself to get this menagerie together. A polo player.
I don't know. They are some of the most beautiful people in our time.
Speak of the bootlegger, there he is now. With Daisy. Have they been dancing together this whole time? It's time to go, old sports. Hey, what a circus.
Well, at least they're more interesting than the people we know.
You didn't look so interested.
Well, I was. Lots of people come who haven't been invited. They just force their way in, and he's too polite to object.
Well, I'd like to know more about this Gatsby and what he does, and I think I'll make a point of finding out.
I can tell you what he does. He owns some drugstores, lots of drugstores. He built them up himself.
The sad little waltz of the year was drifting out an open door. After all, in the very casualness of Gatsby's party, there were romantic possibilities totally absent from Daisy's world. What was it up there in the song that seemed to be calling her back? What could happen now in the dim, incalculable hours? Perhaps some unbelievable guest would arrive. A person infinitely rare to be marveled at. An authentically radiant young girl who, with one fresh glance at Gatsby, one moment of magical encounter, could blot out those 5 years of unwavering devotion.
She didn't like it.
Of course she did.
She didn't like it. She didn't have a good time. I feel so far away from her. It's hard to make her understand.
You mean about the dance?
The dance. Old sport, the dance is unimportant. She doesn't understand. She used to be able to understand. We'd sit for hours and...
He wanted too much. That she should go up to Tom and say, I never loved you. She would have obliterated 5 years with that sentence, and then they could have decided on the more practical measures to be taken. One of them was that after she was free, they were to go back to Louisville and be married from her house, just as if it were 5 years ago. I wouldn't ask too much of her. You can't repeat the past.
Can't repeat the past. Why, of course you can. I'm going to fix everything the way it was before. She'll see.
He talked a lot about the past that night, as if he wanted to recover something. Some idea of himself that had gone into loving Daisy.
I was born James Gatz. I changed my name to Gatsby the moment Dan Cody's yacht dropped anchor on Lake Superior.
His parents were shiftless and unsuccessful farm people. His imagination had never really accepted them as parents at all.
Cody was the 50-year-old product of the Nevada silver mines.
Montana copper had made Cody many times a millionaire and physically robust, but on the verge of soft-mindedness. Several unsavory women tried to separate Cody from his money.
One succeeded, Ella Kay.
Kay then sent Cody on his yacht, the Tuolumne, with a captain's cap and barrels of booze, and trusted young Gatsby to be steward, skipper, secretary, even jailer for the drunken Dan Cody on a round-the-world goose chase. She then constructed the legal device that appropriated Cody's millions.
Along with the $25,000 he set aside for my education.
I remembered that portrait of Cody that was hanging in Gatsby's bedroom. It was indirectly due to Cody that Gatsby drank so little. No, the truth was that Jay Gatsby of West Egg, Long Island, sprang from a platonic conception of himself. He invented the sort of Jay Gatsby that a 17-year-old would be likely to invent. And to this conception, he was faithful to the end.
At Camp Taylor, a month before I shifted out to the trenches of France, I met her.
One autumn night, they were walking together down the streets when the leaves were falling, and they came to a spot where there were no trees and the sidewalk was white with moonlight. They stopped here and looked toward each other. Now it was a cool night. The quiet lights of the houses were coming out into the darkness, and there was a stir and bustle along the stars. Gatsby's heart beat faster and faster as Daisy's white face came up to his own. He knew that when he kissed this girl, his mind would never romp again. So, he waited, listening but just a moment longer, Then he kissed her. As their lips touched, she blossomed for him like a flower. It was when curiosity about Gatsby was at its highest that all the lights in his house failed to go on. I wondered if his tenure as impresario was over. Then he gave me a phone call.
How are you, old sport?
I'm fine. Are you going away? I heard you fired all your servants.
I wanted somebody who wouldn't gossip. Daisy comes over quite often in the afternoons.
The new people are brothers and sisters that Wolfsheim wanted to do something for.
I see.
I'm calling for, at Daisy's request, would you come to lunch tomorrow at her house? Miss Baker will be there.
And Tom? Certainly not, if you plan to carry on as you did in the garden after your party.
But Daisy wants you there. Everything's arranged.
Did Jay call?
Yes. Daisy, what is it?
Oh, I'm so glad. See you tomorrow. My darling Nick. Oh.
Where's Mr. Buchanan, the athlete?
The rumor is that's Tom's girl on the telephone.
Very well, then. I won't sell you the car at all. Wilson, I'm under no obligation to you at all, and as for your calling me about it at lunchtime, I won't stand for that at all.
He's pretending.
Mr. Gatsby, nice to see you again. Nick,
Make us a cold drink.
I'll get some ice.
You know I love you.
You forgot there's a lady present.
Where?
You kiss Nick too. What a low, vulgar girl.
I don't care. Bless you, precious. Come to your own mother who loves you. You like mother's friends? Do you think they're pretty? She doesn't look like her father. She looks like me. She's got my hair and shape of face.
Well, that certainly looks cool.
You know, I read somewhere that the sun is getting hotter every year. It seems sooner or later the Earth is going to fall into the sun. Oh, wait a minute. It's just the opposite. The sun is getting colder every year.
Oh, what do we do with ourselves? This afternoon, and the day after that, the next 30 years?
Don't be morbid. Life starts all over again when it gets crisp in the fall.
But it's hot, and everything's so confused. Oh, let's go to town. Why don't we all go to town? You look so cool. You always look so cool. Oh, you remind me of the advertisement of the man. You know the advertisement
All right.
of the man?
I'm perfectly willing to go to town. Come on. We're all going to town. What's the matter anyhow? If we're all going to town, let's start.
We're just gonna go. Like this. All right. Let's have fun. It's too hot to fuss.
I don't see the idea of going to town. Women get these notions in their heads. I'll get some whiskey.
I can't speak a word in this house, old sport.
She's got an indiscreet voice. It's full
Her
of...
voice is full of money.
That was it! Her voice was full of money. The soft jingle of it, the cymbal song of it. High in a white palace, the king's daughter, the golden girl.
Why don't we all go in my car?
Is it a standard ship?
Yeah,
Well, you take my coupe and let me drive your fancy purple dirigible.
I don't think there's much gas.
Well, if it runs out, I can stop at a drugstore. One can buy almost anything in a drugstore nowadays. Come on, Daisy, I'll take you in his circus wagon.
You take Nick and Jordan. We'll follow you in the coupe.
Did you see that?
See what?
You must think I'm pretty dumb, don't you? Well, maybe I am, but I have an almost second sight sometimes that tells me what to do. And you may not believe that, but science. And I've been making a little investigation into his past, and I'll carry it further tomorrow.
You mean you've been to a medium?
What? A medium?
About Gatsby.
About Gatsby? No, I said I've been making an investigation into his affairs.
And you found he was an Oxford man.
An Oxford man. Like hell he is. He wears a pink shirt.
Nevertheless, he went to Oxford.
Maybe Oxford, New Mexico, or something like that.
Listen, Tom, if you're such a snob, why did you invite him to lunch?
I didn't. Daisy invited him. She knew him from before we were married, God knows where.
By the time we reached the Valley of Ashes and Dr. Eckelberg's mystical eyes, Tom complained we were low on gas. Jordan sarcastically commented that there was a gas station up ahead. It was the one where Wilson's wife, Tom's lover, lived. Tom was rather nervous about stopping, but he handled Wilson fine as he pumped some gas and asked him about a car he had offered for sale. Tom joked, how about this nice big purple one, referring to Gatsby's car. Wilson looked sick. He said that he needed money badly. He explained that he was planning to go west soon. He needed to get away. Wilson said that he had wised up to something funny going on with his wife. Tom's jaw dropped. And a window upstairs, Myrtle, as if she were trapped, banged on the glass. She was in a kind of jealous terror trying to communicate with us, Tom in particular. He just pretended he didn't notice and drove on. Now, there is no confusion like the confusion of a simple mind. Tom was in a daze. His wife and his mistress were now slipping away from his control. We ran into Daisy and Gatsby by the park. Jordan suggested we should all go to the movies. It was cool inside. Daisy said that was fine, we should go. She said she would meet up with us afterwards. They were going to go park around the corner, and added in a giddy voice, she'd be the person smoking 2 cigarettes. Tom told her to stop it. In a rough, strained voice, he said we were all going to the Plaza Hotel. We should follow him.
It's a swell suite. Open another window.
There aren't any more.
Well, you better telephone for an axe.
The thing to do is to forget about the heat. You make it 10 times worse by crabbing about it.
Why don't you leave her alone, old sport? It was your idea to come to town.
That's a funny expression of yours, isn't it?
What is?
All of that old sport business. Where'd you pick that up?
Now, see here, Tom, if you're going to make personal remarks, I won't stay here a minute. Why don't you call up and order some ice for the mint juleps?
Imagine marrying anybody in this heat.
I was married in the middle of June in Louisville, and it was so hot, someone fainted. We're getting old. If we were young, we'd rise and dance.
Mr. Gatsby, I understand you're an Oxford man.
Not exactly.
Oh, yes. I understand you went to Oxford.
Yes, I was there.
You must mean Oxford, New Mexico.
England. For some of us, there was a war. In 1919, some officers went there, but I only stayed there 5 months. That's why I can't really call myself an Oxford man.
Pass the whiskey, Tom, and I'll make you a mint julep. And then you won't seem so stupid to yourself.
Wait a minute. I want to ask Mr. Gatsby one more question.
Go on.
What kind of row are you trying to cause in my house, anyhow?
He isn't causing a row. You're causing a row. Have a little self-control.
Self-control! I suppose the thing to do is to sit back and let Mr. Nobody, from nowhere, make love to your wife. Well, if that's the idea, you can count me out. People begin by sneering at family life and family institutions, and the next thing you know, they throw everything overboard, and you have intermarriage between blacks and whites.
Why, Tom, have you suddenly become the last bastion of civilization? We're all white here.
I know I'm not very popular. I don't throw big parties. I suppose you have to turn your house into a pigsty in order to have friends in the modern world.
I've got something to tell you, old sport.
Please don't. Please, let's all go home. Why don't we all go home?
That's a great idea. Come on, Tom. Nobody wants a drink.
I want to know what Mr. Gatsby wants to tell me.
Your wife doesn't love you. She never loved you. She loves me.
You must be crazy.
She never loved you, do you hear? She only married you because I was poor. And she got tired of waiting for me. But in her heart, she's never loved anybody except me.
Sit down, Daisy, and tell me what's been going on.
I told you what's been
I
going
want
on.
to hear all about
Going on for 5 years.
You've been seeing this fella for 5 years?
Not seeing. We couldn't be together. Both of us loved each other all that time, old sport, and you didn't know. I used to laugh to think that you didn't know.
That's all. You're crazy. I can't speak for what happened 5 years ago because I didn't know Daisy then. But I'll be damned if you got within a mile of her unless you brought the groceries to the back door. And as for the rest of it, it's all a goddamn lie. Daisy loved me when she married me, and she loves me now.
No.
She does, though. The trouble is, she gets these foolish ideas in her head, and she doesn't know what she's doing. And what's more, I love Daisy too. I may go off on a spree and make a fool of myself, but I always come back. And in my heart, I love her all the time.
You're revolting! You know why we left Chicago. I'm surprised you haven't treated everyone to that little spree.
That's all over now. It doesn't matter anymore. Just tell him the truth that you never loved him and it's wiped out forever.
How could I possibly love him?
You never loved him.
I never loved him.
Not in Hawaii, when I rescued you from the surf. Or in Paris, when we beat the French in polo. Or when I carried you home from the punch bowl just to keep your shoes dry.
No.
Daisy.
Please don't. Stay there. Stay. Oh, you want too much. I can't help the past. I did love Tom once, but I loved you too.
You loved me too?
Even that's a lie. She didn't know you were alive. There are things between Daisy and I that you can never understand. Things we can never forget. We have a little girl.
I need to speak to Daisy alone.
Well, even alone, I can't say I never loved Tom. It wouldn't be true.
Of course it wouldn't.
As if it matters to you.
Of course it matters. I'm going to take better care of you.
You're not going to be taking care of her anymore.
And why's that?
Daisy's leaving you.
Nonsense.
I am, though.
She's not leaving me. Not for a common swindler who'd have to steal the ring you put on her finger.
What's that? Let's get out of here.
Who are you, anyhow? You're one of that bunch that hangs around with Meyer Wolfsheim. That much I do know. I've made a little investigation into your affairs, and I'll carry it further tomorrow.
Well, you can suit yourself about that, old sport.
I know about your drugstores. He and this Wolfsheim fellow bought up side street drugstores here and in Chicago and sold drugs over the counter. Grain alcohol, too. That was one of his little stunts. I pegged him for the bootlegger the first second I saw him, and I wasn't far wrong.
Well, what of it?
I can't stand this anymore. Come on, Jay, let's go.
That's all right. Ride off to Mr. Gatsby's big purple dream boat. I can handle that. We'll deal with this at home. He won't be a problem now that he realizes his presumptuous little flirtation is over.
With every word, Daisy was drawing further and further into herself. Only the dead dream fought on as the afternoon slipped away, trying to touch what was no longer tangible. What little courage Daisy had was gone. Tom, Jordan, and I got in Tom's coupe and started towards home. By the time we reached Eckelberg's Owl Eyes, a crowd had gathered at Wilson's garage. Tom smirked. Accidents might be good for the fool's business. As we approached, a policeman motioned for us to stop. He said that there had indeed been an accident. He asked if we had seen a big purple car on the road from town. Tom asked what happened, while Jordan and I stayed silent and stared at each other. The policeman explained that the station owner's wife had been struck down and he was irrational with grief. Tom jumped from the car, taking charge, partying the crowd like the Red Sea. Jordan and I waited about 20 minutes until an entirely different Tom Buchanan emerged from the melee.
A goddamn coward. He didn't even slow down. He didn't even stop his car. Wilson was crazy. He had a gun in the collar. He found that pink rhinestone collar. He would have killed me if I didn't tell him who owned that damn car. And what if I did tell? Gatsby threw dust in your eyes just like he did Daisy's, and then he ran over Myrtle like a dog. What about my share of suffering? When I saw that collar, I hugged Wilson and I cried like a baby. It was awful.
At 30, I'm 5 years too old to lie to myself and call it honor. I couldn't forgive him. I didn't even like him. Tom and Daisy were careless people. They smashed up things and creatures and then retreated back into their money or their vast carelessness or whatever it was that kept them together and let other people clean up their mess. By the time we got home, lights were on, so she was safely home. Jordan invited me inside, but I curtly refused. I was unsure what to do. Looking in the window, I could see Tom and Daisy standing in a triangle of lights by the kitchen table, almost intimate. He was holding her, brushing aside her disheveled blonde locks, whispering. She kept nodding her head. I turned in disgust and started down the Buchanan driveway where I was startled by a shadow. It was Gatsby.
Is it all quiet up there?
You better come home and get some sleep.
I want to wait here until Daisy goes to bed. You can take my other car home. I parked it over there. I got to West Egg by a side road and kept the purple car in the garage. Wolfsign's nephew is going to repair the smashed headlight and fender. Was there any trouble on the road?
Yes.
Was she killed?
Yes!
I thought so. I told Daisy I thought so. It's best that the shock should come all at once. And she seemed to take it pretty well. I don't think anybody saw us, but of course I can't be sure. Who was the woman?
Her name was Myrtle Wilson. Her husband owns that garage. You didn't even bother to stop.
I tried to swing the wheel.
Daisy was driving?
Yes. But of course, I'll say I was. You see, when we left New York, Daisy was feeling very nervous, and she thought it would steady her to drive. And this woman just rushed out at us at the gas pumps. It all happened in a second. She seemed to want to say something to us, as if she thought we were somebody that she knew. The second my hand touched the wheel, I felt the shock. It must have killed her instantly.
It ripped her open.
Don't tell me, old sport. Anyhow, she stepped on it. I tried to make her stop, but she couldn't, so I pulled the emergency brake, and she fell in my lap, and I drove on. She'll be all right in the morning. I'm going to wait here and see if he tries to bother her. She's locked herself in her room, you know, and if he tries any brutality, she's going to turn the light out and on again.
He won't touch her. He's not thinking about her.
I don't trust him, old sport.
It was that night that he told me. Jay Gatsby had broken up like glass against Tom's hard malice. He needed to talk about Daisy.
She was the first nice girl I had ever met. I went to her house, at first with other officers from Camp Taylor, then alone. It was the most beautiful house I had ever seen, but to her it was as casual as my camp tent was to me. It excited me that so many men loved Daisy. It increased her value in my eyes, but of course, I knew I was there by a colossal accident.
However glorious his future might be, Jay Gatsby was a penniless young man without a past. No comfortable family standing beside him. And after all, rich girls don't marry poor boys, so he took what he could get, ravenously and unscrupulously.
I took her one still October night. I took her because I knew I had no right to take her hand, and I despised myself for taking her under false pretenses, letting her believe that I was in much the same social stratum as herself, that I was able to take care of her. Now, I had intended to take what I could get and go, but found I was committed to following the Grail. And then she vanished into her rich house her rich life shining like silver, leaving me nothing. Still, I felt married to her.
You should go to Atlantic City or Montreal for a week.
Go away now. I'll wait here all night if I have to. I can't tell you how surprised I was to find out that I loved Daisy. For a while, I hoped she'd throw me over, but she didn't, because she was in love with me too. Well, there I was, way off my ambition, falling deeper and deeper in love by the moment, and I realized I didn't care. What was the use of doing great things when I had a better time telling her what I was going to do? Well, you take the car up. I'll get a taxi and we'll have breakfast in the morning.
It wasn't until later that I found out just how crazy George Wilson was. Perhaps those eyes had spoken to him. He was convinced that the man in the purple car had purposely struck his wife. Maybe it was his wife's lover who did it. And if not Tom Buchanan, then who? If he could find that purple car, he would know.
One of the servants said he was going to drain the pool.
The pipes, the autumn leaves clogged the pipes. I told him not to. I haven't used this pool all summer. Come, join me.
I'd like to. I'm not worth a lick of work after fog and everything. But my train's in 20 minutes, so I really should be going. I'll call you from the office, maybe tomorrow?
Yes, I suppose Daisy will call too.
I suppose so.
Well, goodbye.
They're a rotten crowd. You're worth the whole damn bunch put together. I've always been glad that I said that. Gatsby did go in his pool that afternoon, waiting for Daisy's phone call. A butler had brought a phone out next to where he stood under a clear autumn sky. I had an idea that Gatsby himself didn't believe the phone would ever ring. Perhaps he no longer cared. If that were true, he must have felt that he had lost the old warm world, that he paid too high a price for living so long with just a single dream. That dream, a train track that curved away from the sun as it sank, a benediction over the vanishing city where she had drawn her breath. He must have reached out his arm, as if to snatch only but a wisp of air, to save a fragment of the spot that she had made lovely for him. It was all going by too quickly now for his blurred eyes, and he knew he had lost that part of it forever. He must have looked up at the sky through frighteningly changing leaves, and shivered at what he found had how grotesque a rose is as its petals fall through the raw sunlight upon perfectly manicured grass. This material world, where poor ghosts had danced and breathed their dreams through the shipless atmosphere, like the ashen ghost gliding towards him through the amorphous trees. The chauffeur heard the shots. Wilson, in his delirium, had found the purple death car, as the press had called it, in Gatsby's garage. Buchanan confirmed its owner. The same chauffeur found Wilson, too, a few paces off with the gun still clutched in his hands. His madness had now been released. Daisy hadn't sent a message or a flower. Wolfsheim sent his regrets and said I would understand. It was more important to show friendship when a man was alive than after he was dead. I thought it would be awkward calling Jordan, but she took it fine, even if she did claim that I'd thrown her over. It didn't matter now. Even if I was half in love with her, she was engaged to another man. 30. The promise of a decade of loneliness A thinning list of single friends to know, a thinning briefcase of enthusiasm, and thinning hair. I'd seen enough of these. With bags packed on my porch, I wandered one last time over to Gatsby's and stared at his balcony overlooking the Sound and that green light, marveling again at his extraordinary capacity to wonder. Gatsby had come a long way to find paradise. His dream so close to him, he could hardly fail to grasp it. He didn't know it was already behind him. Gatsby believed in the green light, the orgiastic future that year by year eludes us. It eludes us, but then tomorrow, no matter, we'll run faster and faster with our arms stretched out further and further until one fine morning we... So, we feed on. Boats against the current. Borne back ceaselessly into the past.
So wait and pray each night for me till
Then wear the gold hat, if that will move her. If you can bounce high, bounce for her too, till she cry lover, gold-hatted. High bouncing lover, I must have you, I must have you, I must have you. Then wear the gold hat, if that will move her. If you can bounce high, bounce for her too, till she cry lover, gold-hatted. High bouncing lover, I must have you, I must have you, I must have you.